One match down of our two for tonight, the first night of this second week, as we are now officially past the halfway point in our fall series. SPG have actually mathematically guaranteed themselves at least a spot in playoffs after denying Lemix their reverse sweep. Lemix, I don't think are mathematically totally eliminated yet, but it's gonna be really hard for them to squeeze in. Now we move on to our second match of the night. And the stakes are no less high. The setting is no less dire, LaFawn. We've got FM versus PANTHERA. And if PANTHERA don't win, they're pretty much done.
That is the thing. Coming into this one, if you had said to me at the start of the season, PANTHERA in game number 3 as their season on the lines, I would have been quite surprised, especially considering who their first 2 matches were against. Right? I mean, match number 1, all right. It's against arguably the de facto first seed coming out of Group A. Cool. The problem isn't that it was a 3-0. The problem was that they didn't get a single objective against Poker Face. They followed it up. They followed it up against an 0-3.
Right? Oh. I think they've still only gotten 1 objective. Oh, no, they won a map. They won a map. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, at least it was better. But again, then they played against Zero, a team that we knew was going to be good. We didn't think was going to look so dominant against PANTHERA. Yeah. And FM, they're also sporting a loss to Poker Face. Then they got to ease off the brakes a little bit going against Revival, who are the other team that is really, really struggling in Group A right now. So FM, they're walking into this 1-1. They're certainly not cut and clear into playoffs. But if they could beat PANTHERA today, they'd be all but guaranteed.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the interesting aside between these two squads. FM is the team that has made Dive look the most viable in this patch in Fall Series Korea, right? They are more want to run the Winston, to run the Genji, have that look be their style, to go to Meta's Pass. And PANTHERA have sort of stumbled their way into certain Dive looks, almost by accident of hero pool than any real intention. And so this becomes a matchup of who is going to play mobility best. FM has the weight of history in recency. PANTHERA has the weight of expectation. I mean, the edge, it's so difficult to call at the outset of the series who should have the upper hand.
I mean, especially when we take a look at this match pound for pound, right? Yeah, PANTHERA, they're hungry, all right. Hungry for a win. One of our teams coming back from the Contenders, one of our Contenders teams coming back from the Overwatch League knockouts. But FM, after getting 3rd in the WDG Open, made some insane pickups, some insane additions to their roster. They already had guys like KHD and Yapin hanging around. Those are already 2 perfectly good players, right? I've always been really impressed with KHD's Ana. Yapin, of course, ex-Boston Uprising Academy, over in North American Contenders, did phenomenal over there, when him and Simple were kicking around. But now FM look even scarier, LaFawn.
They picked up a couple players on the rest to kind of round out. You'll know
some of these names.
Yeah, to kind of round out the rest of their roster, and more importantly than those pickups, they put them in positions to succeed. And I mean, there are sort of gaps in this roster. When we come to FM, they're not expected to play the Zarya composition. They don't look good on it. They haven't even selected it for that matter. Even the Orisa has been somewhat suspect. Sigma has been a struggle for them. But as we look into this roster, Gurio has been a hit scan nightmare to deal with. And when put in a position to kind of just click heads, Gurio can and will do that. This is, when it comes to Sojourn, he knows what he's doing, and Dox, of course, has made the Winston look viable, if not necessarily a world beater in this current patch.
And then we got Slime kicking around in the back line, the self-proclaimed fossil of Overwatch. You're younger than me still, Slime. Please don't call yourself a fossil. Ex-Vancouver Titans and such, a deadly team. Of course, PANTHERA on the other sides of things. We talked about Arpen a lot, but Hidden and Becky, both phenomenal DPS players. Develop, I think there's room for this to be a really good meta for him. An hit scan player, now in a meta where Iliari can see a lot of play. Iliari has looked pretty good so far too. Panthera just need to find a way to settle into a confident composition.
Yeah, and I mean, Develop also has the fallback of having a really good Ana as well, right? And
True.
has a decent Kiriko on top of it all. So it's not like, it's a non-flexible player. And they just haven't been able to put it together. And I mean, Hidden is new to the team this season, picked up from Poker Face, coming into this one. So a couple of changes here and there, but overall, I mean, expectations for Panthera were high coming into Fall Series, and they simply haven't met them. And time for them to... The runway is gone. They either have to fly now, or it's into a pretty uncomfortable end staring them down. We will start off on Lijiang Tower for control, and I think this kind of speaks to why we're seeing a double flex support backup, or backline rather, for Panthera.
This map is going to give us a lot of information about these two teams as well. Both, like you said, having some success, or at least wanting to have some success with those, Winston compositions, even the Doomfist at times for Panthera, which we've, again, yet to see anyone succeed on the current patch. But if anyone could pull out a Doomfist and make it work, I would believe in Arpen. He was a nightmare last year, and I think B-sides, when Doomfist saw about that 3 weeks of play, Arpen was crazy with it. So the dude is an insanely good player on that character, don't get me wrong, but is that the play? It doesn't seem so. Both of our teams have taken their time off since their last match last week and seemingly added some comps into their roster.
I mean, they've selected the characters. Let's not claim they've added them till we see how they play.
I mean, look, the Reinhardt is looking at me funny right now, but I believe that this is actually... Panthera is just straight up going for the Orisa Bastion.
Actually, it's going to be a difference
No
of...
doubts there.
Yeah, it's going to be a teleport. So Hidden's going to switch off of the Symmetra, I think. Oh, or no, they're just going to give away the point. Okay.
I don't actually hate this, but they've kind of lucked into the fact that it's a Reinhardt here instead of an Orisa, right? Reinhardt's going to be a lot more punishable in a game of attrition.
Versus to get in. The problem is the Symmetra is the big problem here for Panthera. Rio setting up those cards is going to be a real nightmare.
Already trying to give a defensive TP here. Hidden not
Yapin?
quite able to get to the back. Hello? Yapin, my guy, you got to watch where you're stepping. The edge is so close, and it's a long, long fall for not only you, but all of FM.
Okay, there was a banana peel. That's what we'll say.
So we need the like the, what is it, like a wood block?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You get one.
I used to have a wood block. I don't anymore though. Unlucky.
You get one. That was Yapin's one.
All right, FM coming back in lickety split now. That's the benefit of, I guess, of losing so quickly. Panthera giving up a lot of space, peeling very far back, trying to bait FM into the Bastion right now. Gurio deciding where he wants to potentially TP. A little bit early from Becky on this configuration. That gives FM a lot of space to run in. Now they'll throw the Ant Matrix out, and there's nothing bolstering Panthera's own Ant Matrix, so they just have to cede this ground. I mean, the contest is happening for Arpen, but he's so low, Oh, he's trying to get Dox off the map, but won't be able to do that or stay on the objective. Now we've got the Photon Barrier expiring for FM, so Panthera can get back into this pretty quickly. Nice energy javelin. This has been going on for quite some time. Arpen doesn't live long enough. Yapin gets enough damage down. And finally, FM wrestle control away from Panthera.
That is a really good fight, actually, from FM. That was some tremendous patience, especially after having such a costly mistake to open up the map. The presence of mind to hold your amplification matrix for when Panthera uses the configuration tank way too early, and then you just have more damage, right? And then bolstered by the wall from Gurio, the Photon Barrier, it's an easy fight win. They just have to trust in the process, and they'll equalize in percentage now.
Artillery strike, trying to corner Gurio here. Haven't managed to get much done. That Photon Barrier. I mean, Reinhardt does swing through the Photon Barrier, so there's that at least. Unfortunately, his Earth Shadow going a bit wide, and now getting run down too. Slime Sound Barrier expiring, and Dox is in quite a bit of trouble. Yeah, Slay, you can't boop him when he's in the artillery form. I hate to break it to you, buddy. And with Becky down, Panthera, they don't have a way into this.
And that was almost so good from Panthera too, right? The boop from Slee to keep the Shatter at bay. But it's not enough. And I mean, again, another fight where Panthera trying to force things. I mean, Slime tries to go for a 1v1 against Sebastian. That's never going to work. Okay, now Becky, keep your configuration tag for the window, please.
Look, Panthera's still ironing out the kinks in this comp as they figure it out. Gurio charging into the back. This is a nice wrap. That Ant Matrix does a lot of damage, but Becky developed. There's just no way for them to live. Dox and Yapin doing so much work. And Panthera don't even get to touch the objective one more time. FM, once they actually got firm control, they refuse to let it go.
I mean, credit to Gurio also, again, nullifies the Ant Matrix with a wall there. That's now 2 walls in a row that Gurio has gotten tremendous value out of.
Yeah.
And that's now back-to-back Ant Matrices that Panthera just can't capitalize on. Keep in mind, that was Yapin getting eliminations here without the Ant Matrix into an Ant Matrix of his own. Oh, okay.
Okay, he slid off. Okay, you're fine, Yapin.
Yes, yeah.
He just tries to come back to the. But yeah, there's no.
Well, no, it was the self damage of the grenade that prevented the elimination go through. Oh, you know what? Props to Arpen instead.
Your team wins the round 2, so who even needs the first fight? Now we go into control center. No swaps for either of these teams.
This is better for the. Oh my word. I was gonna say this is better for the Orisa, but like. Panthera takes so much damage.
That, but Arpen is, Arpen's soaking damage, Becky's soaking damage. Quite intense fire. These cannonballs being traded back and forth. I guess Gatling guns, not cannonballs.
Oh, there are those.
But eventually Panthera do get at least some control of White Room. FM don't lose any players though, so they're going to be quick to re-engage here. That's an interesting TP. Trying to kind of wrap around, hoping that someone else from Panthera would be making their way to the objective, but full control of White Room. Ooh. Oh, and a nice hit by Becky and Arpen. Good energy javelin to tee that up. And FM, I mean, without their Bastion, they will slowly fall apart in this fight, as long as Arpen lives. Okay.
Dox exit stage left.
That's fine. It's fine.
Instantly. Very funny. That's a good fight from Panthera. I mean, a little bit shaky, but, you know, you got to start somewhere. Oh, bypass the Ant Matrix. That's a really nice setup.
Ant Matrix. Oh, Gurio is exploded. Here comes an artillery strike, too. I mean, that's going to be a lot of damage onto Yapin. Not a kill, but FM. No way to teeter on this ledge any longer. Here comes the TP in as well. Panthera looking much more confident here on Control Center.
That's another Arpen.
Yeah, get him! Get him! Yeah, Lucio,
it's a 1v1.
Arpen!
Boo! I mean, okay, listen, if Arpen didn't come to help, there was no guarantee that Slee would have won.
Look, to win the round, it makes sense, but not as much fun.
All right, surely, okay, we're gonna get a teleport play here again from FM. There's a small, man, they just have not been as proactive here.
It's struggled for them, or it seems to be a struggle for them to find a method of entry as consistently. There's a sound barrier. It actually doesn't even hit all 5. Slime, I think the photon barrier was in the way of that one. KHD for Arpen. Is that really a worthwhile trade for Panthera? I don't think so. Not when Dox can now step up into your backline. An attempt to turn this around with Slay throwing out his own beat, but with just 3 players there and not enough damage or healing to assist him, trying to boop someone out from behind the shield, I guess, going that deep. Yeah, the flip comes through for FM. A quick recontest for Panthera, though. Yapin's gotta live. Okay, with Yapin alive, Panthera will have to fully reset now.
You trade sound barrier for an extra, what, 20%, I think? Is it that long-standing contest? It does for... I mean, it's not a terrible trade, actually, considering you get the... It's not ideal, but, you know, you make do with what you got. And also the other thing, too, is FM has not been able to kind of get as much value out of their ultimates as they had on round number 1. Dox needs to land a shatter here, and will not. It's not enough.
I mean, it's enough to get Becky, and that's the most important target. Ant Matrix used by Develop 2 with no Bastion to counteract it. If Becky had just had that extra sliver, yeah, Panthera could have turned that, but now a little bit of time at least bought for FM.
Panthera is hovering around the outside. Here's where this becomes a double-edged sword, right? If they keep holding space here, it's actually bad for FM, but if someone on Panthera gets picked off, it's all for naught. So it's you're dancing a tightrope here if you're Panthera. So far, they've managed to stay on the correct side, which is to say on top of it.
I mean, that is the only good place on a tightrope, right? Ooh, that's a lot of damage from that artillery. Yoppin getting healed up, though. And no way to approach while that Amp Matrix is looming over the objective. Oh, Arpen, hello? Was that off the edge? Oh my god, he's just relentless. Push him! Push him! Okay, okay. Or just shoot him a bunch. Actually, you know, his team falls apart around him. I'm not sure Panthera really have the steam in their engine to convert this right now. Arpen gets to the objective here, and the flip does come through.
Yeah, I mean, FM uses the sound barrier in the thick of things, right? They just don't have the sustain to keep it going. Now on the reset is where things get a little bit more interesting. Panthera should actually have this fight. Sound barrier sustain, and they have the later photon barrier as well. I don't think FM have what it takes to close this round out.
Yoppin trying to get an angle on Arpen there, but no dice. At least keeps the Oriso away long enough for a flip to come through. But now here comes the siege. Panthera flying toward FM. They've isolated Dox, and there's no way to bail out that Reinhardt. Once he's gone, it's easy to charge forward. Terra Surge smashing them. And an easy conversion for Panthera to keep their hopes alive on Lijiang.
I mean, despite what felt like a not close round, where Panthera were in the lead the majority of the time, that still was 93 to 100. Panthera, I mean, the problem here is Panthera's composition does not get easier to play on Garden, where we had to next, right? There's a lot of that open area. And I mean, there's, you know, we've all seen Reinhardt flying in on this map to kind of just pin people into wayward places. The Reese is a lot more stationary, right? And mobility on this third point is going to be critical. So, I mean, it's going to be Arpen having to staying alive, holding position on the objective to keep this point into Panthera's hands and take their map win.
One more chance for either team to start this series off on the right foot. Ooh, Slime really going for it. He was hoping for a boop off the bridge there, but Panthera just TP straight to the point.
I mean, holding
really
the point
like
is
this angle too from Panthera.
Yeah, and I don't think they've used the tart form either. So this is going to be, the shield is not as effective as the javelin spin is, right? At holding back damage
in this on this objective, right? The shield can only cover one direction. Already so much damage onto Yoppin. An Immortality Field keeps him up. So FM, they weather that first push. Now the turret form is thrown on back, and FM trying to take some space. A positional warfare being fought right now. Slime gets hidden, but goes a little bit too far forward. Now FM are easier to pin down, and Yoppin takes too much damage. A pin in from Dox desperately manages to displace and destroy the enemy bastion. Now Arpen, can he manage to get KHD? Yeah, and a nice energy javelin too. Dox getting run down, and it's been scrappy as can be, but Panthera are slowly getting this done. Ooh, nice javelin too.
I mean, that was Arpen carrying that fight. Doesn't take damage all the while, right? Look at the difference in Dox versus Arpen at the tail end of it. That meant that Arpen could just kind of walk at the shield, despite, you know, having no support on his side. So I mean, a great heads up play there by the sustain character. And they do use the Ant Matrix there to open up that fight though. And so that means now FM on the approach will have the Bastion configuration into that Ant Matrix. That is so much damage to weather here.
A lot of damage being thrown out by that turret form. A nice photon barrier, well timed. One is returned. That's one you can walk through. TP through, back behind. A good disengage from Panthera, making their way to the other side of it, but they leave Develop to the Wolves. Oh, they turn around. What a re-engage from Panthera. Develop even survives. How does he survive that? 4 players from FM are looking at him, and all of Panthera step on Dox.
And tragedy for FM strikes once more. Not only do FM allow Develop to live, despite 4 players looking at him, that was FM spending so much. That was Beat and Ant Matrix and the Photon Barrier from the Symmetra. Both sustained utilities brought in play, and now in what is going to be a chance to force final fight, Panthera have the sustain they need to survive, and FM are running out of time.
That's a nice artillery strike, too. KHD didn't know where to go. FM, I mean, there's not really much time to try and turn this back around. Arpen slammed onto the floor, but a sound barrier is more than enough, and the damage is overwhelming from Panthera.
That'll be it, actually. 15%, you have to come in as a You have to come in as a fast-moving character. The teleporter is not going to be enough.
PANTHERA do step up pretty far here. Maybe someone can TP behind. There it goes. FM trying to sneak onto the point. Slime, oh, he was so low. He couldn't quite get behind the shield. Slime goes down first yet again, and FM, we've seen how this generally goes for him. Look how they're pushed out of the immortality field. Just barely getting back into it, but for how long? Not very is the answer. PANTHERA with a solid start to try and save their season. They'll get themselves the third round Gardens and a map win on Lijiang.
That was a much more dominant performance from them. It felt like the engine was warming up as the map kind of went on, right? The first one, that was shaky. Reinhardt really took them to task. The second, closer, but it did feel like PANTHERA had the edge. And then on the third round, I mean, FM just caught out every which way, out of sorts at times. Doc's on an island on a mission alone. And the rest of the team unable to hold things down in the meantime. That being said, PANTHERA, they'll get one so far. There is not over yet. FM trying to make a return to even end things up, before the halftime.
And we had a lot of questions about both these teams compositionally coming into this match. Reinhardt doesn't really answer any questions. It sort of just side grades one question to another. Oh, you're playing Winston. Will that work? Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to worry about that one, but now you're playing Reinhardt. Will that work? They're not quite the London Spitfire as of yet, but we'll see if they can turn things around on map 2 in just a second. Map number 1 was pretty heated between these two teams. PANTHERA and FM both starting off strong, but eventually PANTHERA getting the better of that Reinhardt composition when we went to Gardens. It's a little bit hard to run the Reinhardt, right? You have to go through White Room, and then you just funnel yourself into Bastion and Damage. It turns into a little bit of a mess. But now we go to map 2, and FM have a chance to bring this back. It was by no means a slaughter against them. PANTHERA certainly having to fight for this win on map number 1 so far.
And I mean, it was a little bit, FM also lost the plot a little bit on map number 1. I mean, that fight where Develop somehow managed to elude 4 players, and Docs of all people is the first one to fall, against the Ant Matrix. That was bizarre. So it's not like FM, I think FM are 1 or 2 mistakes away from maybe taking that map from PANTHERA, and now the question is, can they continue to play to that level, or has PANTHERA managed to bolster their through the weight of experience, managed to bolster their performance enough to kind of keep widening the gap against FM? Right now it's a very shallow gap, but as we kind of move forward, maybe PANTHERA has the opportunity to make things a little bit more one-sided.
Yeah, absolutely. We go to map number 2 now. Kings Row. Not terribly surprising, considering FM get to pick. And I don't know a single player who wants to play Reinhardt, and when given the option for Kings Row, won't select Kings Row. You're not playing Reinhardt on Blizzard World, folks.
I mean, also,
sure.
I mean, FM has played Midtown multiple times, and has always looked less than convincing multiple times.
Yeah, that's fair. So, switch it up. Let's get to Kings Row here, especially with that Rein in the mix. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for them as well to turn the tide. And, again, we talked about at the top of the series, we still have to keep an eye on what compositions we have for either of our teams. FM maybe pulling the wool over on at least my eyes.
You're on the attacking side. Don't get baited.
I don't want to. We'll double back. Anyways, PANTHERA rolling out on the Zarya. Now, PANTHERA did end up playing the Zarya some last match that we saw.
That was the map they took away from Zero, and then unfortunately they had to go to a map type that really did not favor the Zarya.
Yeah, exactly.
And, got taken down. That being said, I mean, this is where Becky should theoretically be unleashed. Most of the bubbles will be going to... The bubble should be shared between the Genji and the Zarya. Keep in mind, this is not the hotfix that is coming in where the Zarya bubble, it's much bigger and takes more damage. The projected barrier, that is.
Oh.
Up his head.
Go back.
Okay. That is zero energy
charge out of that. Yeah, that was not what Becky or Arpen was hoping for there.
I mean, good discipline. Good discipline from FM.
Nice rotation here, too. Really chasing down Slay. Can they actually catch up to him, though? Slay getting out of there. These PANTHERA supports are slippery. Slay and Develop, they don't want to get caught. Slay would rather circumvent the entire map, circumnavigate rather, than actually let this happen. And FM, after not getting those supports, are kind of like, well, where do we go now, guys? What's the plan?
Also, keep in mind, there's only 4 players from FM here, because Gurio's on the Widowmaker way back. And not only did that push not actually open up the support elimination, Gurio did not get a line of sight onto Hidden either.
RPen is still really low charge here, though, so that's the one benefit for FM, but don't actually stay long enough. They almost got that first tick, and there wasn't much opportunity for RPen to contest. Doc's repositioning to a place where RPen is going to have more trouble pushing straight onto him, and FM have a bit of high ground control now, too. I mean, it's hard to walk up onto the objective against Docs, but this is taking quite a bit of time. Slay, once the shield down, will eventually peel out of there. A dynamite coming in. Oh, a little bump on the shield. Doc's the only one hit by that because of it. Oh, Gurio. Okay. Gets displaced from the high ground and then Hidden finds his mark. Now Slay and Becky trying to get on Slime in the backline here too. KHD having to do a million jobs. Keep Slime up, keep Yapping up. Ant Matrix, it's not enough. Oh, FM. They didn't quite get that second tick either. And if they get stuck here too long, if they get staggered too badly, this is gonna be a scramble for time.
Gurio needs to get onto something a little bit more effective.
Something more aggressive, right? I mean, yeah. PANTHERA are just playing so far back.
Yeah. I mean, the question is how effective is this going to be, right? At this point of the game, like Nanoblade is up, you're gonna have Grab, you're gonna have Bob. Time is not here any further. Oh, what a shutdown!
Becky assassinating KHD. No blade necessary. A teleport gets FM out of further danger, but damn.
Wow. I mean, keeping in mind, right, that who are you gonna hit? Like, keep in mind for FM, who is Shatter actually gonna close out? Assume you trade the sound barrier for Nanoblade.
Oh, here comes Becky. Only gets the immortality field and a nice TP to disengage, but not enough! Lining up, cut it all through at once. An affected slice for Becky.
So here's now where things get really dicey for FM. They have Shatter, sure, but who do they close it out against? This grab is going to be nullified by the sound barrier, you'd assume. But even that's not a foregone conclusion, and then you just don't have the punching power to actually gain anything else.
Oh,
it didn't even force the grab.
Really
that's not even for the grab.
Ante has to be invested. I mean, the beat had to save FM from the ante. Now they're desperately backpedaling into a room, hoping PANTHERA don't chase any further. They'll wrap to the objective, but yeah, that grab. Yeah, it's feeling pretty heavy in RPen's pocket. He'll chuck it onto Docs and try to get in the way of any heals here. Fighting into the back line, but nobody on PANTHERA really in position to finish off that grab. Docs surviving, and Gurio cutting up the back line, beaming them down, cooking them in a microwave. PANTHERA overplayed their hand a little bit. They thought they had more than they really were working with that grab. And now, I mean, it's a little bit tricky to evict FM. RPen barely getting there in time, but 2 bubbles ain't even enough. And FM will get the payload unlocked.
And that was, I mean, the idea is you burst down the Reinhardt, right? But it presupposes that the healing is not there. And I mean, the immortality field coupled with the amplification matrix, that's just so much healing through it. And there, a little bit more patience would have ended this map for them, right? They would have been able to get the hold. Instead, because they only grab the Reinhardt instead of making it a team grab, they actually just end up giving FM the, a little bit more progress on the objective.
Still not much time for FM to play with, though. That took pretty much their entire initial 4 minutes. Yeah. So already less than 2 as they push through the streets phase of King's Row. And Becky back up to a blade. Yeah,
I do like their chances, though, to push forward here with the photon barrier. RPen needs to take space in the map, then you put the photon barrier behind him, and that just isolates the Orisa where you can execute the tank, right? So you're kind of looking
figure out a way to deal with Becky, though.
Yeah, that is literally the difference maker here.
Not be annoyed by a photon barrier. You can see Yappin just keeping an eye on Becky. Now with him pushed back a little bit, they're going to try and push on RPen, but the Javelin Spin gets him out of that photon barrier isolation you were discussing. A blade in the back, but no assistance. Becky doing this alone, and he will be taken down all by himself. 5v4 now for FM. Can they recollect? No. Docs steps up a bit too quickly. FM weren't ready to actually take the rest of this fight. And now they'll have to try and do this without their Reinhardt. TP up to the high ground, but it's not enough. And FM No dice for them.
And that was actually developed doing such a great job in that final moment. So the Javelin stuns up Yoppin early, then the sleep comes in, and then as the configuration tank wears off, the anti-nade goes in from the back line, so Yoppin gets cleaned up by Hidden. Also Panthera.
Fun.
What is this Junkrat?
We got a Jay Silly sighting. Becky, annoyed that his blade was so focused, has swapped over to the Junkrat. An artillery strike just... Yeah, Yoppin really trying to get rid of Develop after that last fight, but it's Becky who falls first. I mean, Terra Surge online, TP not taken either. Oh, that's that combo that we saw last week, but not able to get the elimination out of it. Arpen a little low, gets the nano perfectly timed from Develop. Really a saving grace for Panthera here. And FM have just run out of steam. Just Yoppin and Dox, they got nothing to keep them here. Where's the punching power, though? Need to finish this off. A beautiful anti-develop. What are you doing to these guys?
Alrighty.
Not a bad defense from Panthera.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not flashy.
No.
Not flashy. Actually, this is...
I have terrible news. If Panthera win this map, Junkrat will have a positive rate in Contenders Korea now.
This is the... Okay, when was the last time we saw Junkrat?
Even as a one-off, I cannot remember. Not in Contenders Korea.
I don't... In the span of Overwatch... I think in the span of Overwatch 2 in Contenders Korea, we've seen it twice, including today.
Yeah, I think we saw it in A-Sides qualifiers. Literally over a year ago.
This has been a grind though for Panthera, and it's not
certainly
not a done deal yet.
No, FM just need a really good first point hold.
This is the one thing here from FM is that they're playing, I mean, a variation of the London composition, right? But
yeah,
truth be told, not as coordinated as London plays it, which is why it's so effective.
I mean, it's hard to play it as coordinated as London does.
But that's what makes a suboptimal composition work, when everyone is on the same page and doing the correct thing at the correct time. That's what makes London difficult to beat. Not because their comp is good, or
not
sort of
because it's overwhelmingly good, because they are overwhelmingly good at it.
Yes, exactly so. And the teleport plays just have not been locked in for FM. There's another one that doesn't get any value.
Left, leaving a little bit to be desired here. That's not a bad grenade. Becky will survive it, though, and manage to get over to the side. Becky on the Echo here is going to be a real big problem for FM, especially since Yoppin needs to keep his focus on the front line primarily. Look, he pops the turret to just get Becky off of that angle, but Becky peels back into the room, into safety, behind cover. And now Panthera, it's full steam ahead. They're not slowing down, and Gurio's got nowhere to go. No TP, no retreat. FM 5v4 or 4v5, make it 3 as Dox falls too. No way to stop this point from getting capped.
I was about to say, Becky made his name on Echo, at points as I get some of the best in the world, and then, sometimes things like that happen.
Look, KHD, some of the best in the world. Oh, Gurio's counting his lucky stars that nobody was there to help Arpen finish that off.
Oh
Look how scared FM are!
Man,
Arpen is up here with just 2 to back him up, and FM are full backpedal.
I mean, the problem is if there's an uncontested pick here, the map's over, right? And it's not like this
survive.
is... They had to survive. They also have to deal with 5 minutes on the time bank.
5 minutes and a ton of ults coming up for Panthera. I mean, Becky's already ready with the duplicate. Give him the Earth Shatter, Becky. It'll be funny. Oh, that was a lot of damage, and Yoppin doesn't have anything to do. All right, he's mad at KHD. He's like, I couldn't beat you on the Echo. I'll beat you on the Baptiste, though.
No, that was...
Oh, man.
That was absolutely an ego duplicate. The immortality
100%.
The immortality field to say, you can do it, I can do it too.
Man, brutal. And I mean, even contesting this is going to be tricky now for FM.
I mean, you teleport. Oh, look at what Arpen's doing. He's not going to let them. He's not going to let them. The Terror Surge coupled with the Artillery Strike.
Yeah, doing it again. Oh, it's brutal. Okay. Oh, it does get Yoppin. He couldn't get to the TP in time. Oh my, I mean, Docs slapped away, denied by Slay. And yet another WAP win for Panthera, up 2-0, looking much more composed than we saw from them last week.
Looking like the Panthera that we've come to expect over the years, right? A team that, you know, at their best has some fantastic team play. I mean, that was a little bit of a silly round, it must be said, but here comes the truth, is that FM, that was their map pick. They lose it in, I mean, pretty decidedly. Now we head to, you know, we head to Flashpoint next, and sure, it's FM's pick, but it does not feel easy from here, and unfortunately, a mirror of the last series is we now need to see a reverse sweep for FM to keep this one going. Panthera on the precipice of keeping their season alive.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Panthera with O2 Blast taking a season and being like, hey, we're just going to step to the side, let somebody else claim a title in Contenders career for once. Panthera are the longest standing organization in Contenders Korea, and it's not close. It'd be a shame for them to miss playoffs, so they'll just need one more map to get on the road to there when we come back from break. Panthera really giving it to FM on that second map. That one, close. Certainly a contested round of boxing, but then after the bell rings a second time, Panthera really didn't want to mess around on King's Road too much, and now they just need one more map to get their first series win here in this season, LaFon.
The one upside if you're FM is that we move to Flashpoint next, right? Where it was close control. Flashpoint, sort of a warped mirror of control, if you will. It's like what do you call it? A funhouse mirror version of it. And so there's an opportunity to make this one close again. I think this is where the big problem right now is that FM have consistently strayed away from what I think is quote unquote favored right now. They haven't played the Zarya. They haven't played what they've played in the past, which is the Winston. They're running a Rhine composition. Worldwide, there are two other teams, both between Owl and Contenders, who have run Reinhardt with success. FM has not quite joined that group yet, so we'll see if they're able to do so as we get to Suravasa for map number 3.
Or if they even want to bother, right? We go to Suravasa, Flashpoint. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it would be unplayable, but there are there are a couple of points where I think to myself, like, oh, Reinhardt could play here, right? But you think about that very first one, right? I'm not super convinced that the Reinhardt is going to be rearing its head again. Maybe we get more flashes to Winston or something else from FM, but if they do pull out the Rhine, they got quite a bit of work to do, because it is one of those things where unless you have that top tier coordination like you were talking about, LaFon, unless you're able to really get 100% efficiency out of the teleporters, unless you are exploding into the enemy team from angles that they could not possibly anticipate, it's tricky to make that comp work. It is less sturdy than the Orisa.
And keep in mind, it's not like FM don't have coordination. We've seen it from them on the dive in games past. It's just a different beast entirely when you're playing on the ground-based characters that have to trust in a single, ability to kind of move them around the map. You're not moving under your own volition a lot of the time. It is through the teleporter. So FM, I mean, they feel like this is their best chance at winning, so they'll run back to it. And I mean, again, after control, I understand why, but it certainly doesn't get easier.
No compositional adjustment. It'll have to be a tactical one. But they do lose out on the pacing here. And they're using that teleporter much quicker and then speeding themselves to the objective first. Now they get to post up on this exceedingly long angle. FM have to get a teleport play to work here. They cannot hope to just siege all the way across. Look how much damage they're already taking, and Yapin falling so soon. I mean, that's basically done and dusted unless FM can pull off something very fancy, and instead they'll just disengage.
This is the benefit of the Orisa versus the Reinhardt, where the Reinhardt has to choose what he's doing, right? Either he's shielding, he's dealing damage, or he's moving. Can't do, them at the same time. Arpen just holds fort with the Fortify, with the Javelin spin, and draws just everyone's attention.
TP up onto the high ground now. That's an effective siege angle, and Becky doesn't expect it. We need more plays like that from FM, but now with the shield gone, Docs, can you survive with the Immortality Field to keep him up? The flip actually pretty much assured here as Panthera want to go for a quick disengage, but will FM let them? They try to chase. Docs still hadn't been fully healed up, though. He was barely leasing onto life as it was. Now, I mean, Panthera, it's a push and pull and ebb and flow, and Panthera are trying to take the tide of the river with them. Can they actually stay on the objective without Arpen, though? I mean, Becky will be back soon. That's a lot of damage for FM to try and step up, and Panthera are here.
They will kind of get back in. The one thing is that technically the Reinhardt is faster to the point than the Orisa is. Can they take advantage rather of this exceedingly small window? Oh,
Slime barely getting that sound barrier off in time. Almost echoes of Ajax there, but instead Becky falls, and FM get a very decisive win. Yeah, Arpen falls. Yeah, okay. A very decisive win before Panthera could fully coalesce.
That was decisive with a question mark, though. And that's not ideal because it means that Panthera is in last fight territory as they swell to, I mean, a wealth of resources. So this fight is going to determine the outcome of this objective. The one benefit is that Gurio has point control, so the Photon Barrier can be used reactively rather than the proactive setup that Panthera will have to do. Keeping Dox alive is of critical importance, however.
Here comes an artillery strike, just trying to stall Panthera.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all grouped up there. That could have been messy, but Panthera managed to sidestep it as they should. Hit it in! Oh, man, he can't hide behind his team. Instead, Yapin finds him, tears him out. And I mean, Arpen just stoking damage on the objective right now. Do we really need the artillery strike, Becky? I feel like you could be putting more work in, or maybe you couldn't. Not when FM are on top of you and getting the first point under wraps.
That is the benefit of having that point control, right? You get to play a little bit more reactively, a little bit more defensively. Actually, so the thing here is, if Develop and company can stay alive, then that elimination onto KHD might actually be a difference maker for this next objective. Look how weak FM are. They have to go back to spawn and give up space in the map. Yeah, actually, Panthera should get
favorable
first position on the objective.
Yeah. Panthera, a little lucky, but a lot of skill. Is that enough for them to actually get this done, though? Can't afford to be going down 2-0 to start off Flashpoint. It's too hard to ensure a sweep, but Becky already laid down by the Earth Shatter, and Dox will finish it off with a pin. Ant Matrix not really going to do much for Panthera without Becky to whirl damage through it. Instead, Panthera just trying to hold on best they can. Develop taking a couple shots to the side of the head, though, and now Dox on top of him, too. A nice TP from Hidden to get him away, though, and Dox doesn't want to overextend into this. Eventually, Hidden falls, and slowly, Panthera, the dominoes, are going down. They will be sent packing after just a couple, 20% or so. And they'll have to find a way back in without really many ults.
Dox is dancing on a razor's edge, but has made pirouettes happen so far. And Panthera, I mean, despite having that Ant Matrix in the fight, right, and the damage up as a result, I mean, FM, they play around corners, they play around walls, and they only give 20% away in terms of percentage. That is a big deal on Flashpoint with how quickly the points move. And on top of this, now, I mean, again, Gurio in a position where the Photon Barrier is in tow, will have point control, and it gets so much more difficult for Panthera to assail.
Yeah, that attempt at a deep TP, too, just doesn't pull up anything for Panthera. They do get 2 ults out of it, so FM have used the majority of their defensive cooldown. Still a sound barrier in their pocket, though, for when this push fully comes through. Terror Surge will force the beat to drop. Yapin evades Arpen's Energy Javelin, too. Dox walking into the back line and smattering Slayer against the wall. But the trades back aren't favorable. Dox, he goes too far past his team, and FM needed him to sort of protect as he should. No, yeah, he'll go down. It's 99, though, for FM.
It is 99, but they did not get the sound barrier. It's just the Photon Barrier that was taken away. And because FM invested in that fight, keep in mind, Panthera actually have a path to take this objective, steal this objective away, in fact, from FM. Keep in mind that when FM get back to this point, because of how slow fights happen in this meta, that it will be final fight on Flashpoint, right? There will be no further recontest. So a pick-off here is going to be of critical importance and could just end things right away.
Gurio's already kind of low. Okay, not able to fully cut him off, but he gets KHD instead. Yeah, that immortality field laid down at your feet, not necessarily the tool you would want it to be to avoid the artillery strike. You're still inside the artillery. Both you and the immortality field get blown up.
That's it.
A lesson learned the hard way.
Yeah, and that's it. FM, you just realize they cannot take that fight again, and they'll just back up. So, such a cheap fight for Panthera, right? To go down from essentially 0 versus 99 to taking it away in one fight with one ultimate, realistically speaking, is tremendous. So, even though FM will be able to get back to subjective, again, they have a bad pathing to the point. And again, Panthera will have tools to contest them. The sound barrier means that FM can't just run in for free. They don't have the sustain required.
Panthera trying to take advantage of the artillery right now. Oh, Yapin is slaughtered. He's turned into scraps and thrown on the pile. Panthera, excellent aggressive play from them, and now they'll finish it up, get Dox, get Gurio, and get this first cap.
I mean, small victories for FM is that the artillery strike took the Ant Matrix and sound barrier, right? But again, that is the weight of this map type, is that controlling the objective makes you the presumptuous winner in a lot of these cases because of how difficult and how slow these fights can be. So despite FM keeping things available to them, I mean, Panthera, you look at this photon barrier, they're going to use it in response to the Ant Matrix, and that is going to mean that it's going to be last fight territory, even if FM wins this fight.
Earth Shatter does lay down hidden. Ooh, just barely. Oh, and a nice fortify too. Arpen trying to keep FM back, but no. That was too much damage, and the photon barrier was behind him. Even with that extra bit of damage resistance from the Terra Surge, no. I mean, you can't survive an Ant Matrix Bastion.
Right, but that's job done for Panthera, right? That was enough. They took 3 ults away from FM. That's Photon Barrier, Shatter, and Ant Matrix. That means that Panthera have to take the point back, and that will be final fight. 74% means that if the point flips, it will be a panic and reattest. And FM, on the precipice of losing this match, can't overspend because they have to play to the end of the map. Panthera did what they needed to do.
Ooh. Oh, I love this play. Sound barrier, I'm not 100% convinced it was necessary, but better safe than sorry when you're TPing into the entire enemy team.
This is the critical fight for FM, right? I do like the play, right? Just step up the aggression. This is what we've been needing to see from FM all the while. This is what makes this composition so successful. Ambushing your opponent when they're not prepared. Can it work 2 fights in a row is the question.
Going even further. A little bit more split, though, this time. Dox is the only one that actually gets inside of Panthera's line. Arpen falling. Dox, oh, he needs to live. He needs to live to make sure that's an advantage.
Someone touch.
Now, oh, Slime just barely gets away from the artillery strike. A 4v4, but a touch comes through. Panthera have a chance to make this happen. Stan's tanks. They have a way in, though. I mean, they're just diving around the objective. Slay trying to keep the overtime contested right now. But FM, they haven't really found a way to get rid of Panthera. Here comes a photon barrier. Was it 100% necessary? I mean, Becky does eventually get found, and that has to be the critical pick. Yapin safe buying the photon barrier and keeping Arpen out. Excellent work from FM.
That is perfect. Perfect from FM. Multiple fights in a row, right? That ambush play with the sound barrier, they instantly wipe Panthera, and then the secondary stall fight is also tremendous. Especially 4v4, right? To kind of keep that one going. FM do it again. And actually, they are rewarded for their persistence as they finally have a positive path to the objective to get there before Panthera. So for the first time all map, we'll have an opportunity to take first control away from Panthera.
Panthera don't want to give that first control up. They're going to use the photon barrier to inch their way on the objective. And actually, the turret fully forces FM to disengage. Wow, despite the advantageous pathing there, FM have to retreat and circle back around.
Right, but that is an ultimate that was used to do so. So that just, evens the economy just a little bit.
Okay, here comes the re-engage. Now the Ant Matrix up. Had a little bit of a tough angle, though. Yapin doesn't have a full way to blast at Panthera from this sideline, and Dox is having a lot of trouble staying alive on the objective. Here comes the Terra Surge. Sound barrier dropped, sure, but Yapin in a lot of trouble. Arpen's running on top of him and turns him into mincemeat against the wall. Eventually dies to Gurio, but the damage is already done.
I mean, the tragedy for FM is that KHD does not get the benefit of the sound barrier in that, and so without that main healing gone through, Panthera have the sustained advantage, right? They an equal sound barrier, but on top of it all, Develop is backing up the team, and FM just lose out. And I mean, that's the point, really. I don't think FM can really get back to truly contest.
It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be really tough.
Try and go for it.
I mean, they have to.
They don't want to go to a 5th and final.
Yeah.
Here comes Becky. Here comes the TP. Oh, Becky actually managed to get away. Nice immortality field there from Develop. An overtime trigger does come in. FM just trying to brute force the objective right now, and Panthera disengaged. They try and give it to him, but FM don't want to let Panthera rest on their laurels. A chase down, hidden falls. And FM are looking for even more. Doc staying alive again, playing on that knife's edge. Nice little boop. Yapin in trouble, but an immortality field will bail him out of that one. Arpen gets back to the point and uses a javelin spin to try and get away, but there's too much chasing him. Eventually, FM grab at his heels. And give themselves one more chance to take the map here and now.
And all of a sudden, this fight has actually gotten really bad for Panthera. The fact that they couldn't quite decide if they wanted to, reset or keep the fight going means that FM did not have to invest. They did not have to use much, and that means now in a final fight scenario, I mean, it's Ant Matrix for KHD. Yapin will have the benefit. Oh no, oh no.
Gurio didn't know what hit him there. I mean, Yapin trying to make up the deficit, trades Symmetra for Symmetra, but Hidden easily sidesteps it. That's a more important pick, though. Becky falling, but KHD means there's so little healing. Dox, how can you play at a knife's edge like this? The flip comes through. Dox so low on a sound barrier to keep him into the mix, but even that, even all the shields just isn't enough. I think for the first time this season, we go to all 5 points on Flashpoint.
And I mean, that was a catastrophic misplay by FM on that one. They think they have an advantage. The sound barrier was too late from Slime. That if you're going to make a play, you have to make it earlier. Their hubris will be punished because Panthera walk into the point. I mean, sure, they're delayed, but they at least have tools to take the objective. And with Flashpoint, getting first control is even more important than nearly any other game mode.
Early stalemate here, though. Neither team really getting too advantageous of a pathing. I suppose Panthera a little bit better off, but FM will undoubtedly TP up to the high ground to meet them.
Again, sound barrier,
The high ground is so important here, and the sound barrier, yeah, for Panthera. I mean, how do FM beat that? They'd have to kill Slay immediately. He takes a hit from the fire strike, but dodges the second, so nothing really for FM. That being said, Panthera, they don't want to go down to the objective. They don't want to commit, overextend themselves to an objective that FM themselves are struggling to start with. Panthera have the position of power right now. They'll let Slay try and pull members of FM forward. A TP into the back, the Terror Surge does a lot of damage, and KHD is done and dusted. Excellent work from Panthera to force FM's hand.
Excellent work and a heavy investment from Panthera. So, true. You get to take a breath if you're FM. Kind of reassess the situation. Sure, you don't get the first objective or the first capture, but you do get the next best thing, which is Panthera over-investing in a fight where FM didn't have to use anything.
2 chances, though. And look how aggressive Panthera are getting now. Taking a page out of FM's book, but I don't think they know how to read this. Hidden, he needs to go back to school.
I mean, that's the one thing Orisa's not quite as good at, right? When you get in close, the cleave damage just isn't there. Which is what makes that teleport play so deadly for the Reinhardt
teleport play from FM up onto the high ground. Slay, yeah, he didn't know where to go. Nice flip back here from FM, and pretty cheap too. Only the photon barrier to take this.
Yeah, very, very cheap from FM. And on top of that, they actually give themselves, because they take it with so quickly on that fight, they've given themselves, even if they capture, even if the point gets flipped again, they will have a recontest that is a genuine attempt. They won't have to make those haphazard switches. So they're actually in a pretty good position here on this objective.
And Panthera, you can see how they head for the hills when the artillery strike comes out. They know it means that FM are looking to displace and disrupt Panthera. A lot of time burned already. Oh, Dox! I don't think he got much out of that shatter. I mean, he'll get the immortality field at least. That makes it harder for Panthera to approach. heavy attempt at an investment, and another one here too, off the objective. Where's this Ant Matrix supposed to be shot from? What angle are you using here? Develop isolated a bit and against Yapin, but Yapin's so low! Oh no, FM, they didn't know what they were cooking. They didn't know where they wanted to go, and they give the point over to Panthera. Unless Dox can do something, but no, he's out of there.
I mean, no, the discretion is the better part of valor here for FM. Remember, they do have an actual genuine recontest. And on top of that, Becky was oh no, Dox. Oh no.
The most tragic possible stagger. FM, they were on the precipice of starting a reverse sweep just like Lemix, but their hopes are cut down so much sooner. Slime trying to get to the objective, but without his Bastion, without his Symmetra, any DPS, how could Slime ever survive this? Panthera strike perfectly and pulverize FM into the dirt. A 3-0 to rebound from a rough week 1 and keep their playoff hopes alive.
And I mean, there's the weight of history, right? The experience required to understand that, there is a player hovering around the outside, the periphery, chase them down. I don't think it was expected by FM that Panthera would go for that play, right? But that is what the difference of experience gives you. And with that will be the 3-0. Panthera, is it too little, too late? We won't know until the end, but it's the first step, at the very least, of keeping themselves in the conversation for a playoffs picture.
If they're able to replicate this success that they had today when they play against Revival, Panthera will squeak into playoffs, if only narrowly. So this is the first step on a road for Panthera. Admittedly, you got FM and Revival. Those are theoretically the two most winnable matches in this group for Panthera, so they're not out of the running just yet. An excellent match from them today. Still some questions on the other side of things for FM. I think there were times where their composition looked really good today, and times where it still looks like they're figuring out all the different bells and whistles that this comp has. But on the other side of things, Arben's figured out, hey, you can play Orisa. And that gets him player of the match.
That does get a player of the match as he gets...
Among, being really good on it.
Yeah. Listen, we've been hard on Arpen this season for good reason. Arpen is a mainstay in this region, has been for a very long time, has made appearances, at all levels, has not yet quite expanded his hero pool in Overwatch 2 to the position where we can comfortably say he can play anything. But when given a chance to shine, actually has the tools to make it work, right? And finally gets off the Doomfist, finally gets off the Winston in this meta, and the Orisa actually looked quite competent today, and a big part of why Panthera were able to take the victory.
Nailing a lot of those energy javelins, a lot of really cool aggressive plays. I'm liking that he's already setting up combos with Becky with the javelin spin and the artillery strike, right? Good awareness on this character already from Arpen. And even though in the past Arpen's hero pool has been a question mark at times, he does pick up new tanks, at least with efficacy, right? Now, it'll remain to be seen how that Orisa does against some of the stronger teams, Poker Face, Dreamers, if they get to the playoffs here. But I liked what I saw today. I'm hoping for more of this.
I mean, the final objective, right? The difference maker is the fact that Arpen was able to charge Dox down in the end, right? And that's, pulling things out of a hat when you really don't have anything is a big difference maker. So, yeah. Congratulations to Arpen.
Day. An unexpected day as well of matches. Panthera, I thought FM was about to do it. I thought we were going to start our second attempt at a reverse sweep for the night, but Panthera shut it down. That first match, if you guys missed it, go back and watch. It was a banger. Lemix really giving SPG a run for their money in the back half of that series. Pretty fun start to our second week of play. Hey, we didn't get 2 3-0s today, LaFon, so I'll take it.
Well, I mean, coming in now as we're going to look at our group standings. SPG are the presumptive number 1, but they are not going to stay there for long, I dare say. And despite being 3-0, man, that team has so many question marks around them.
It's been a tough. It's a very competitive group B, right? Not quite as theoretically top heavy as Group A has looked at times. Group B really cutting it close between all of these teams. I mean, even Lemix, right? Who unfortunately I do believe are now mathematically eliminated from playoffs. Even they had a great game today and look competitive at the best of their times. Tomorrow, I mean, these games are no less hype. We got Zero versus FM. Zero fighting to try and take on Poker Face for the first in the group. They need a win, presumably, against FM here today, and then they need to beat Poker Face in their last match. FM fighting to stay alive in the hunt for playoffs now that they've lost to PANTHERA. Yep. They'll probably need a win somewhere else, or at least some favorable map differential. And then Euphoria versus JNGK, where I kind of feel like anything could happen.
Yeah, that's a game that, I mean, Euphoria is coming into the season being the expected favorite, but JNGK has been a pleasant surprise this season, right? They,
Absolutely.
A little bit of a retooled roster from the last time we saw them, and are looking very, not just competitive mechanically, but competitive in a team cohesion setup as well. So I'm excited for that game, right? There's some standout stars on Euphoria. I mean, I'm looking at that DPS core when they play their correct heroes.
When we don't get Sunjin on Doomfist tank.
But you know, with that being said, I mean, yeah. So it's a team of two tails on Euphoria's side, and just a solid up and comer in JNGK. I'm excited for that head to head and to see how they kind of perform, what their evolution has been like in the span of a week. And so tomorrow's going to be one you don't want to miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when it comes to Euphoria, right, this is a team that, you know, used to go by Rhodes, was in the Overwatch League knockouts as one of the Contenders teams, but didn't really make too many waves. But coming back into Contenders, you know, they get guys like Taejong into the mix. You know, Milifon, we really like that.
Yeah.
He's unfortunately too young to play in any of the Overwatch League tournaments, but when the dude steps up, he is insane. So I'm hoping to see more emphasis on sort of enabling him and Sunjin on the DPS.
Yeah, keep in mind for Sunjin
tomorrow.
For Sunjin as well, right? Won NA Contenders last season. Has played in Korea in the past, right? It has a
sub for the Seoul Dynasty earlier this year,
exactly.
Right?
So I mean, Sunjin, when given the opportunity to play his role in a position he excels at, does really well. I don't think the Doomfist is that. I really don't. So listen. Obviously, they practiced it. It didn't look good. Doomfist still has not won a map yet. In this season.
I really gotta wonder what's cooking up in like the Scrimbuck exchange in the back rooms of Contenders Korea, where so many teams tried the Doomfist rolling out the first week. There were so many teams who were like, guys, this is the play. We're gonna go Doomfist into an Orisa Zarya meta. It's gonna work. I promise. Not so much. Not so much.
We're counting
maybe more than a couple of objectives.
I mean, we're counting fight wins on one hand when it comes to the Doomfist's success rate. So, you know, I'm never mind map. Still looking for the fight wins. That being said, it's been a tremendous day. Tomorrow's going to be even more exciting. Fantastic Overwatch all the while.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of action for you folks with the rest of the week, and we'll see you tomorrow for 2 more games.